Welcome to the Thunder and Lightning Show. Today we have John the Son of Thunder here with Brett the Fog, and we are here for a synodal dialogue. Not a discussion, not a debate, a synodal dialogue. So I guess the question is, should you attend your local synod? Now maybe some of you, that time has already passed, and so I really wanted to record this video because this is about the time the bishops are scheduling their synodal discussions. So Brett, I'd like to turn it over to you and to get your perspective on should you attend your local synod?
Absolutely not. I'm taking that side of this debate, which is not a debate, it's a discussion, and we're in dialogue. So, no, don't go. It's a trap. To quote General Grievous in whichever Star Wars movie it is, it's a trap. Yeah, it's a trap. But let's talk about the synod. Okay, first of all, what is a synod? A synod is a meeting, yes, it is a meeting of bishops. Now, John, are you a bishop?
No.
Brett, are you a bishop? No. Any members of the laity, are you bishops? The answer is no, you're not bishops. Your opinion is just that. It's an opinion and may or may not be taken into consideration. And you can go with the track record of how much your singular opinion matters to your local ordinary. I venture to say not very much. So what are you? What are you doing there? Why, you're window dressing. You, sir, you, madam, are a prop in a stage show. You're the prop that they say, oh, look what the little peoples want. Yeah, that's what see, she said it. He said it. They showed up. They had their synodal cups of coffee. Oh no, we can't have that. We cannot have that. That's what the little people want. See, they said there were like 3 old ladies that made it to the 3 o'clock in the afternoon meeting times. Yes, my diocese does have a 3 o'clock in the afternoon meeting time, which is great for families and working people, and basically nobody and 3 o'clock. So it does kind of get into the 4 o'clock early bird special for the retired crowd. So there's probably a little. So it's it's like convenient for, I don't know, priest, employees of the diocese. Yeah, it might be convenient for them. But so yeah, and once again, this is the world's largest gaslighting project. Because they're going to say, well, of course, we're going to have this part of the synod, the part where we're allowed under strictly defined rules, mind you, and this much time that you have, and please, be kind and be courteous, even though we're trying our best to invite, Joe Muslim and Jane has never been in the church for 25 years, even though, we want them to have a say, or at least our bishops want them to have a say, and that's what counts. Not what you and I think. It's what the bishops say. And what does the bishop? And why does the bishop say that? Because the Vatican is telling him that's what he wants to do. No, and we could get into a whole thing about the bishop. Okay, what's Bergoglio's favorite title? Bishop of Rome.
Okay, yes.
Doesn't he love to be called the Bishop of Rome? He doesn't really like to be called Pope Francis. He's just the Bishop of Rome. Well, your bishop and my bishop and our bishops, they're just the Bishop of Podunk and New York and whatever terrible African country I can't name. But they all have a diocese, including the Pope. Everyone has a diocese, and they are the representative. They are in the place of the apostles. In our case, we may have the apostle Judas, but it's at least he's an apostle. Of course, there's only one Peter, and he is of the Diocese of Rome, he is first among equals. But so, the Pope can compel obedience, but not about what goes into your parish bulletin, and certainly not how your synodal talk is going to go. It's not up to him. It's not up to him and his coterie to decide. They can suggest, they can ask you to do it, but so really, they'll blame the Pope. Our bishops will blame the Pope. Oh, I didn't do this. Wasn't my idea. But that doesn't get rid of their responsibility for this utter train wreck. This is Vatican III. Because what was Vatican II? Vatican II was a meeting of all the bishops of the world. This is the same thing, but with technology. This time we've got, we've got Skype this time, so we could all be there virtually. And just like a virtual mass, it almost counts. And this is Vatican III, and it's just like Vatican II. Do you know what Vatican II was when it was conjured up? What was it about? What was the agenda?
I don't even know.
It's a trick question. It's not a trick question. It was to condemn communism.
Oh.
Did that happen? No. What happened was the adoption of communism into the church. What happened is those people like Lefebvre, they were there. He signed it. He was there and he signed it, and and they were all like, wait, what just happened? I mean, they just took the dang thing over, and they took the damned thing over. Excuse me, and they made it say what it was like a puppet. They just stuck their hand right up there and said, "What do you think? Like, where's my camera? We need to have active participation in vernacular." Meanwhile, the other guy's like, "On, we need to have active participation in the vernacular." Yeah, that's what it was. That's what happened. And Lefebvre spent the rest of his life, talking about that. Ottaviani did.
Yes.
So this is, a synod is a meeting of bishops, as I said, and those bishops get together, and they often, in the Protestant, in Protestant world, they all get together and vote, and they fight, and then they decide what they're going to do. It works exactly the same in the Catholic Church. The bishops get together, they just, they fight, and then they decide what to do, and then the Pope tells them what they're going to do, because that's how we have things set up. The Pope is, he's, even though this particular Pope doesn't want to be the Vicar of Christ, he is the Vicar of Christ. So, he has the final deciding authority. So this is a big dumb show. Once again, just to gaslight you, to say, you agreed to the gayness. And what is it going to be? We have the beautiful thing is that while we occasionally get shanghaied and surprised, we have no excuse to be for anything. Bad people, it's like all those movies, like where Batman is, he's all tied up and he's going to get dropped out the window. And the Joker's like, now I'm going to tell you what I did and what's going to happen next. And it's like, don't do it, Joker, don't do it. And the Joker tells him all his evil plans. And it's like, and then of course Batman has the bat torch and he gets out of the things and he plunks him and he goes and he stops the plot. Well, we're not Batman, so we're tied up. We don't have a bat torch, but the Joker is indeed telling us his evil plans. And what are they? It's the German Synod. Is it not, John?
Yeah.
Is it not the German
Yes.
Synod? Now,
Yes.
the German Synod, which could have been stopped with a mere word from Francis. And he did address the German Synod. And he said, bad Synod, bad, don't you do that. And then he said nothing. And then he did nothing. And now they are meeting. And what are they doing, John? You know, you read it. You know what they're doing.
Oh, yeah, I have the article. It's linked in the description below. Let's see. LMNOP.
Yes.
Let's see. Opening the priesthood to women.
Oh, wait a
Rela-
minute, wait a minute. Didn't Saint John Paul II close that door definitively in an apostolic letter?
Some people say yes.
No, everybody says yes. But yet, so that's that's the heresy. That's a heresy of the week. Give us another one, John, because that's more. There's more than one.
Relaxation of the obligation of celibacy for priests.
Yeah. That was always a discipline, as they always say. Oh, that's a discipline. That's just a discipline of the church. And of course, we've had a good part of the 20th century chipping away at the Roman rights celibate priesthood. Started with Pius XII. A lot of people don't know that, but of course, Pius XII was the guy that said, "Oh yeah, you can bring no offense, but you can bring over Eastern Rite Catholics to places where they're not, and they can be married." And that started it. And then, of course, all that line of conservatism, Benedict, what did he do? Why, he started the Anglican Ordinariate, which includes married priest. So that's two sets of married priests. So it gets a little more difficult all the time to say, well, the Roman Rite, you can't have married priests. Well, we already do. We have them in Roman rites, and we have them in the USA and other places that were traditionally Latin Rite. So there are lots of them. And John, we even know people that who were like, we even know people who were Anglican for 5 minutes and a cup of coffee, and suddenly they're going to be trying to be priests. So there it is. So good, bad, there it is. So yeah, so let's move on to another heresy, the LMNOP heresy.
Yes. They want to change the catechism. They want to reassess LMNOP, the new moral teaching. I don't really have any quotes on that, but Cardinal Tobin actually said that he wanted to change the catechism in regards to LMNOP years ago, so this isn't new,
No,
and it's not surprising.
well, it shouldn't be, but apparently it's happening. It's happening. Let me go through. Let's see, because there is something. Oh, yes. Now, I will read from the article. From the last day of the Synod, they agreed to 4 documents. One of them was the magisterial statements on conjugal love, which calls for spouses taking responsibility for the timing of becoming parents for the number of their children, as well as the various methods of family planning. So much for Humane Vitae and Pope Paul VI. No, that we're not going to do it. We're not going to listen. We're calling what you believe and have believed for 2,000 years a heresy, because we're right and you're wrong. Okay, so there was that.
Well, doesn't Laudato Si supersede Humane Vitae?
Probably, because our Pope is better than that. Even though our Pope is not a saint, and just said so again on Sunday. Not that we needed him to tell us that. But he did say, "Oh yeah, I'm not a saint. I'm not worthy to live in the papal apartments. Wouldn't live in that dump anyway."
Because I think that this environmentalist push is saying have less kids because you're hurting the environment.
Well, that's bad too, yeah.
Yeah, so that's hence my point with Laudato Si. But yeah, that's good job, Germany.
Oh yeah, Germany's great. Yes. Oh yes. Oh, they also did the magisterial reassessment of homosexuality. That, like you said, the catechism should be revised. And then they called for women priests too. And once again, just all in a day's work for the Synod, which has been passively approved. It's the permissive will of Pope Francis, if you will. He's letting all this happen with his hands off. Oh, I said it shouldn't happen, but it's happening, so you got to deal with it. Just last week, we had a protest of 200 gay priests, and they're all, they're running dogs of capitalism, what we used to call them, and they're running dogs, they're fellow travelers. And they said, no, we want the gay. We want the gay. You know, we want to be, they want to be able to work for the church too in Germany. They want to be able to work for the church. Now, I don't know what kind of work gay people can do for the church.
I don't know that I'd want to speculate, but
Exactly. Who does? Oh, yeah, no one wants to speculate on that.
yeah. Now I do want to point out this German synod. There were, it says, nearly 230 delegates, lay and clerical, that discussed these things.
Yes.
So the Church of Germany is represented by 230 people, not even priests.
Well, no, wait a minute. Every bishop in Germany is involved in that synod. Every single one of them.
Oh.
Yep. Every
Okay,
single
well,
one. Yeah.
Well, it has all the bishops, but not 230 is really not a very large representation of Germany.
Oh, yeah. That's
And
why this synod's going to be better, because we're going to represent 1.2 billion Catholics. Come on, John. That was the test run. This is the one we're going for. This synod of synod. But you know, the important thing about this is they're already having trouble getting this done on the Pope's schedule, and the
yes,
consolation is that at the end of 2023, it is very, very likely Pope Francis will not be Pope anymore. He could be Corpse Francis. He could be retired, sitting in the garden Francis, but he's not going to be Pope Francis anymore.
okay, well,
So let me tie this up
yeah.
real quick. Don't go to the synod. Don't be a sap. Are you crazy? Don't do it. Stay home and pray for the church. That's what I say. John, you have a better idea.
Well, you know what? I was listening, as we're supposed to. The synod says to
Oh,
listen,
you're so
and
good.
I was listening to your dialogue,
Yes,
and,
yes.
and I would like to open up a dialogue, except you're not a heretic or a pagan, and so I'm actually going to disagree with you.
Oh, come on. Oh, come on.
I mean, in the synod, they only listen to the heretics and the pagans.
Right.
But here's what I have to say about that. I say go to your synod. I
What?
have a 180, and there's some people that are commenting, and they said, let's see here. Our priest asks us to attend to make a presence, and I'm going to say, so it won't make a difference. No, it's not going to make a difference to the synod, whether you go or not, but it could make a difference to your bishop, and like, maybe. Okay, so maybe in your diocese, and this is where everyone, their situation is different, and like I said, you have to come in with a game plan. You know what your bishop, you have an idea of what your bishop thinks, and if you don't, then go in and talk about the Latin Mass, see what happens. I think it's basically worth a try. That's my thought. If you have a bad bishop, though, you still go in, because it has the potential to impact the lay people that are there. Maybe they don't know about the Latin Mass. Maybe they don't know about some of the things that are going on in the diocese. And you're not really going to contribute to the numbers. They say, oh, there's 11 people that came instead of 10. You know, like, if you show up, it's not going to contribute to the numbers. They think this is going to be massive. They think that all these people are going to be so excited about it, but they're not. And they're bringing in the pagans and the heretics. What? So let me ask you this. How many Protestants are excited about this? Probably not very many, right?
Well, considering most Catholics don't even know about it, how would the Protestants even have a clue?
So the synod organizers said, invite the Protestants in your local community, invite the heretics, invite the pagans, but most of them are going to be like, no, the Catholic Church is a whore of Babylon, so no, I'm not showing up. And if they do show up, they're going to say that. And so it's going to basically be like, oh, well, why did we invite them?
I'll
Thanks,
tell you
Pope
what,
Francis.
I had an experience of that. In a previous life, I ran an RCIA program, and we had one fellow join, and within about 2 sessions, it became obvious he was a Mormon, and him and his wife were taking RCIA because they were discerning whether to be Catholic. They weren't discerning whether to be Catholic. They were discerning how to convert us to the Mormon Church. I was like, okay. We tried to be nice, and we were nice, but we were like, yeah. And I was really hard on them because I'd say, and I'd always compare it to the Mormon Church and talk about what horrible heretics they were. And yeah, that's the kind of participation you're going to get in a synod from Protestants and Mormons.
Now, I want to point this out to kind of further highlight my point. If you go to the traditional Latin Mass, I would suggest if you have a local synod, go there and promote going to the Mass of the Ages. Yes,
she's absolutely right.
So if you're not sure where your bishop stands on this issue, go and promote it, because it could potentially impact the bishop. But then there's going to be priests there too, like the priests of the local parish.
They can't get out of it.
Yeah, so they're going to find out that, hey, there's you that likes going to Latin Mass, and then bring a few of your friends and talk about the Latin Mass. And then so there's 3 of you that speak about the Latin Mass, and maybe you're the only 3 that show up. I don't know. And so that makes an impact on them. But then if maybe there's a few lay people from the parish that show up and they're like, what's this Latin Mass thing? I've never heard of it. Or like, wasn't that something that they banned 50 years ago? Or
Right.
You never know when it's going to light the spark, and you can be really positive about it if your bishop is a good one. Now,
if your bishop is a bad one, you can be positive about it. Let them know. Let them know you're out there. Let them know there's a warm body and a mouth.
But you have to go with the game plan. So first off, you have to if you go, you have to speak. You can't just sit there and pretend and contribute to the numbers that are showing up.
If you can't speak, don't go.
If you show up,
if you're there and they don't let you speak, walk out.
Leave. Exactly.
Yeah.
Or you could do a Michael Matt's dad, Michael Matt from the Remnant, he told a story about how his dad went to a Novus Ordo and the priest was preaching heresy from the pulpit, and he stood up and said, "This is heresy," and he walked out. You could do that.
Or you could be like the guy at the Vatican who went to the audience last week and said, this is not the church. Don't listen to that man up front.
Yeah, let your voice be heard.
Yes, and and speaking about his voice being heard, you know his name, don't you?
No.
No one reported it, did they? Yeah.
Oh.
The whole Catholic press. They're all a bunch of tools. No, it's a huge story. All you have to do is go out and say, "Hey, Joe, what's going on? Why'd you yell at the Pope?" No.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I'm right next to the router. I don't know what that's doing, but yeah, it's insane. It's like and a lot of that's going to happen at the Synod too. Just pretend it didn't happen. But if you can go there and wave the flag and say, "Hey, Latin Mass Catholics do exist," it's just like the difference. The Novus Ordo and the Mass of the Ages. The difference is just like, it's great to be a single person. It's great to be married. But the higher path is the religious life. Same thing. Novus Ordo. It's great. It can bring you to Christ. But why not take the higher path? The path, the Mass of the Ages. The Mass your grandparents and great-grandparents and people stretching back to AD 33. That the legacy of that Mass, instead of the cocktail napkin in a Roman Trattoria Mass that we have today.
Yes. Yeah. Before I get to the topic of the bad bishops, what to do if you have a bad bishop, let's talk about this a little bit. So what exactly are you going to say? You can say the Latin Mass is great. It's really helped my faith. I think it would be very helpful in this situation to highlight the Eucharistic revival or whatever they're doing, the Eucharistic conference that the USCCB, the initiative from the USCCB, let the bishop know, hey, I'm up on this stuff. The USCCB has an initiative for the Eucharistic revival because there's a pathetic number of Catholics that believe in the real presence. You don't have to say it that way. You can say like 30% of Catholics that believe in the real presence, we need to get the 70% back into the belief in the real presence. And one way to do that is communion rails, communion on the tongue.
Yeah.
All available at the Latin Mass.
Yes, and lack of extraordinary ministers of Holy Communion.
Yeah, so just do your game plan. Now, I do want to turn it to the topic of bad bishops. If you have a particularly awful bishop like Supich, you probably won't even be able to speak. But if you have a bad one like Stowe, McElroy, I think McElroy he had listening sessions a few years ago and he rigged those. No one was able to speak that wanted to. But if you, in a situation where you have a bad bishop who somehow you are able to speak, you can speak. You can say a number of things. You can say like you have a I don't know 2-minute time frame. That seems like
That's about
probably
right.
going to be
Yeah, something like that.
certainly a possibility. You can
Oh,
send when you
definitely a
have 2 minutes
possibility.
to recite the oath against modernism. Let me know whenever I use up my 2 minutes, and then read the oath against modernism. You can give a little bit of description. Say it was suppressed in 1970, but all priests after Saint Pius X, Pope Saint Pius X instituted it in the early 1900s. Had to recite it, and then after Vatican II they didn't. But I'm going to recite it now, and you can just read the oath against modernism. You can ask your bishop, say, hey, before I give my speech, I'd like to ask you a yes or no question. Do you believe sodomy is a sin?
I love that, John. I
And
love that.
and then
That's
he'll
that,
probably
and that is, and of course you'll get an answer, and it will always quote that part of the catechism. This is, oh, we must never discriminate in any way against fudge packers.
yeah. Well, then you also bring your Douay Rheims Bible, okay?
Yes,
And you
indeed.
can say, all right, thank you very much, Bishop, for your opinion on that. I'd like to read St. Paul, and I would like to say Romans, the first epistle from St. Paul, and the first chapter of the first epistle in the Douay Rheims Bible. I'd like to go to verse 22. It talks about people who are in leading a life of sin. They say, for professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. And they changed the glory of the incorruptible God into the likeness of the image of a corruptible man, and of birds, and of four-footed beasts, and creeping things. Wherefore God gave them to the desires of their heart unto uncleanness, to dishonor their own bodies among themselves. Skip forward. For this cause God delivered them up to their shameful actions, for their women have changed the natural use into that which is against nature. And in like manner the men also, leaving the natural use of women, have burned in their lusts towards one another, men with men, working that which is filthy, and receiving in themselves the recompense which was due to their error. Skip forward. Who having known the justice of God did not understand that they who do such things are worthy of death, and not only them that do them, but they also that consent to them that do them. So there you go, Bishop Stowe. I think
Yeah, they're not going to like that. Yeah.
no, but
And you could actually, while you're there, if you actually get FaceTime with a bishop and you
yes,
actually get to ask him a question, you could always ask him the George Neumeyer question. George Neumeyer went to an auxiliary bishop in the Archdiocese of Chicago, who he knew to be of the LMNP persuasion, and he got out his cell phone camera and he said, "Your Excellency, are you gay?" And you can look it up. It's a very interesting answer, and he doesn't deny it, and he doesn't say that he is, and he doesn't say he isn't. He just is like, it's you could do that, especially if you have a reasonable suspicion that that your ordinary is indeed extraordinary in that way. But remember, you got a 1 in 8 chance of being right. And actually, with the bishop, it's probably 1 in 6 chance of being correct. There are a lot of people know, a lot of Catholic men know that is a gay profession. Not the majority, not until you get up to the cardinal level, but yeah, there are a lot of gay people, and they stick together. Yes, they do. So I think I love your idea that you should go there and witness, wave the flag, proselytize for the Latin Mass. You might get somebody there. and you let them know that we're out there. But as far as them actually listening to you, abandon all hope, ye who enter there. And are you there, John?
Yes,
you're
I'm
fiddling
here.
with your papers. Okay, just didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay. And I will tell you that I did go to a listening session once.
Okay.
It was in the Archdiocese of Baltimore. It was about perv stuff. And it's a very interesting process. So first of all, there is coffee, barely. So we're in the church basement. We probably had about 30 parishioners there. We had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, about 5 flunkies from the Archdiocese, each who got up and gave a lengthy opening statement. And the auxiliary bishop came because, the real bishop never comes out to where we live. He just never has. He will come out and see priest, but never come out and see lady. And, that hasn't changed. That has not changed since, let's see, I don't know, 1970. And it's year 2022. They only send the auxiliary bishop out here. That's it. So it got to be about an hour in before they even let the little people speak. And it was 2 minutes. And, and it was really eye-opening because there were a lot of people who had perv stories, like, right where I live. And I told my story, which was not a perv story per se, but I told my story. And, and this one woman, she hissed at me. How dare you say bad things about the bishop? How dare you say bad things about the church? It's like, okay. She apologized to me 3 years later. 3 years later. I was like, yeah, okay, great. Glad you finally got on board. So maybe I reached her. Maybe. It's possible. I did reach her. I mean, she came up to me, she apologized, and she proclaimed her agreement with me. So who knows? Who knows what God will do?
Yeah, for sure. I think you can have that impact. Let's see here. Patty says, what about a good long drawn-out sermon on flat Earth? It has to be one of the Vatican's major concerns.
Now that's not very helpful, Patty.
I don't know. Let's see. Oh, Lincoln Diocese. We were lucky in the Lincoln Diocese. Bishop is very open to the Latin Mass. Yeah, so, I see that you said earlier, the Kansas City Royals fan, that you don't know if there is a synod. Well, check it out on your church bulletin, or maybe church bulletin, diocesan website. Check it out, see if there is one, because then you can show up and just reinforce and say, hey, thank you, Bishop Connolly, for your support of the Latin Mass, and I encourage you to,
hold fast. I encourage you to hold fast and grab underneath your cassock and establish more personal parishes if there's a need, which hopefully there is. I mean, I don't know where you go, John. I know exactly where you go, John. And more people there, aren't there?
Yeah. So
yeah,
okay.
more people were at all the Brian, yes, there are. It is. Yes, of course
there is a predetermined outcome to all of this.
Yes, of course.
I mean, we know that, so we're not gonna. We're under no delusion.
So we're talking to our fellow laity, and we're also talking to the clergy there and giving them a message. And for that person who said, our priest asked us to go, ask him why. If he just wants to polish his apple for the bishop, well, that's a reason not to go. If he is he holding true to the Latin Mass? If he's not, and I don't care how reverent his Novus Ordo is, I don't care. He can go by himself. You don't need to. You won't go to hell if you don't go to the synod. It would be an act of charity. And what's he going to do for you? In all seriousness, that calls for you need to come out to my house and bless my house and come out to dinner and, you know, maybe talk, sit down with the wife and kids. I mean, that calls for some serious FaceTime from Mr. Oh, I'm so busy. I'm so busy. The priest, because they always
Well,
are.
so how many bishops are like decent bishops in the United States, like who believe in the Catholic faith? I would say maybe there's like 10 of them or so.
Yeah, maybe 10. Yeah, 5, 10, not more.
But imagine that you're like, some of you may be in a city or a diocese where one of these good bishops is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Imagine if you encouraged them to speak at a USCCB meeting in favor of the Latin Mass.
Yeah.
Imagine what kind, like, I would definitely post that video clip on here and say, Bishop Strickland supports the Latin Mass at a USCCB meeting. Bishops are outraged. Like, like,
right.
wouldn't that, I would be so fired up. And everyone else would be too. So, like, try to encourage your bishop to just do things for the Latin Mass. Here's another thought, and Adrian's telling me to pay attention. Here's what I was searching for. Here's another thing you could ask a bad bishop, or even one that you think is not very good. You could say, Bishop Stowe, what is your opinion on women priests? Can women be ordained? And he'll say, well,
women are very important to the church.
I'll say, okay, well,
we wouldn't be here without our mothers.
Yeah, well, and I'll say, okay, that sounds a little bit different to St. Paul, Corinthians 1, chapter 14, verse 34. Let women keep silence in the churches, for it is not permitted them to speak, but to be subject, as also the law saith. But if they would learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home, for it is a shame for a woman to speak in the church. Or did the word of God come out from you? Or came it only unto you? All right. Anyway.
Yeah. No. Absolutely.
You can be like controlling.
If you're feeling it, have those things in your hand and written down so you don't have to look and fumble. Just say, hey, I don't know. Seems like it's the word of God to me, but what do I know?
So
I'm just a member, though.
Asking questions not like that is not very dialogue-y or accompanying, not to mention downright rigid. Well, hey, Patty, here's one thing. Here's one thing. We're not called to listen. The lay people, this is our synod, so we need to make it count.
Yeah, this is the only time they're even going to pretend to ask you your opinion. So you might as well get there and say, add another thing.
They're not going to, they're not going to listen to you, but they will hear you.
Yes, actually, they will hear you. They will ignore you, but they will hear you. For example,
they would most likely have you removed after you make
it depends how you do it.
After you make your point.
It depends how you do it. And if they do remove you, well, that's when you start raving like a lunatic.
Or you can just leave and say, I shake the dust off my feet.
No, you got to do it. You got to take those shoes right off. You got to take them right off and say, I believe in. Goodbye. Absolutely. That's what it's about. Yeah, if they ask you to leave, that's what you do. You take your shoes off and you clean the dust off of them and say, thank you. Now I have certainty. Now I have certainty. Pope Francis said there is only one Latin rite, and he is correct. You just seem to be misinformed about which one that is.
Yeah, I mean, and you got to step up and be bold.
Well, if you're that person, if you're that step up and be bold person. Now, I will tell you personally, I won't be able to keep it together. I will be that raving lunatic who they throw out. So, and as I may have mentioned on this show before, I've taken a personal vow never to speak to a bishop ever in my life. Again, already have. It was creepy Bransfield. So no, I'm not going to ask them to do the right thing. They are supposed to know what the right thing is and do it. They have special graces that have been given to them that I'll never have. I'm not ordained. if they can't pull it off, all I can do is pray for them, and they'll be precious little of that, frankly. But there you go.
I don't know. I say, what harm is it going to do to go and speak? Now,
no, I as long as you can keep from exploding, yeah, absolutely. No, there's no harm. But don't. Here are some things not to say. Thank you, Bishop, for this opportunity. No, don't thank him for the opportunity. They put a gun to his head. He doesn't want to listen to you little people. I don't care how nice he is. I really don't. I don't care if he's like bishops. I don't care if it's Archbishop Vigano. I don't care who it is. You don't have to thank him for being there. No. They could thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come out to this dumb show. I read The Pillar, good and bad, and I forget. There's J.P. Flynn, and then there's the other guy,
Ed Condon.
Ed Condon, yes. I think it was Ed Condon who said the most important thing about the synod are the drinks available. He said the Catholic Church really needs to step up and buy at the bar. It's like, you know what? If you really want to have a synod, if we're really going to sit down and listen to each other, it's just like theology on tap. Buy the rounds, and I guarantee you that won't happen. And it's a shame. And I actually think he has a good idea there. If we could all sit down and have a drink together, for those who drink, which we're Catholics. It's a lot of us.
Even those of us who don't drink would show up.
Exactly. Well, exactly, John. Have a beverage of your choice. But the whole thing is, let's sit down.
Now, he says what might be effective are young couples and singles in large numbers who go up and tell how the TLM brought them back to the church, transformed their lives. That's why I said infiltrate your synod.
Yes, that will be effective. That will be effective in converts to the Latin Mass. But right as you already said, it won't have any effect on the outcome.
Yeah, and my thought is with that, I mean, if you get a large number of people tell your whole Latin Mass community, network with everyone else and say, hey, show up, let's infiltrate the synod, the good bishops are going to say, hey, maybe there's something to this. The bad bishops are going to say, these guys are really annoying, but we're outnumbered.
Yes. Oh, did you see, I did see on the reporting on the protest down at Holy Name Cathedral
in Chicago,
in support of the Latin Mass.
Yeah.
There was one report, and she said she went out there, because it was at 11 o'clock. Was the protest. There's a 10:30 Mass at Holy Name. And she said when they came out and they had to walk through those 200 people, they said they were very silent and very uncomfortable, which is music to my ears. You know what? They can't go play, oh, let's go to the bishop's church and ignore what the bishop is doing. That is a great thing. And that's the kind of thing that needs to happen. Like I say, it's not, and they're going to show up every month on first Sunday until this thing is gone. And we know they will. It was really lovely. They did all 15 decades of the Rosary. They sang O Sanctissima. They prayed. They prayed up a storm. God bless them all.
Yeah, they're going to do it again next.
They're going to do it from now till Christ comes again, or Supich changes his mind. Yeah.
Well, which it looks like they're resisting in Chicago.
They are resisting, and the Institute they've got their mass rolling, and
there you go.
A nice 9 o'clock that gets you right. You could go to that and roll on downtown to Holy Name just in time for the 11 o'clock protest. So it's all great. It's all great. They've got a whole thing now. I think the bad people at the Vatican are planning on the Ash Wednesday non-surprise, the Ash Wednesday crackdown, and they think that's going to take care of business. But we'll see.
It won't.
It might. There are a lot of timid folk out there.
Well, we're the laity. It won't take care of us. Those of us watching this channel, I can guarantee you that.
Well, exactly.
You talked a little bit about drinks, and let's go to Davenport, Iowa. I always say that. Let's say, let's go to Davenport. No, let's not go there, but let's take our news story there. You know,
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure Iowa. I've driven through Iowa. It seems
Hmm.
like it's a nice place. I'm sure there's a lot of friendly people.
I'm sure.
But anyway, Davenport, Iowa.
Yes.
So there was this article about the synod there, and I think the bishop, he was the one. Did he ban Reverend Novus Ordos? I know that he said something about bringing the TLM people or getting the TLM people to have an appreciation for the new mass, and I'm like,
Mm.
yeah, good luck with that. But it
Oh,
said,
are they going to have my dream Novus Ordo Mass? Is that what they're going to do?
no.
Oh, they're not? Well, no. This is my dream Novus Ordo Mass. Let's see. Well, the main thing is that there's no communion in the hand, and there are no extraordinary ministers of Holy Communion, and there's nobody on the altar but ordained ministers and altar servers,
Boys.
yes, male altar servers. Um, if they had just that, even if we were, even if we were turning our back on the tabernacle, I could soldier through. But of course, the dream would be he's turned around, the chants in Latin. We skip the holy handshake of peace. Uh, the bidding prayers are, we just do the minimum of 4. I guess we still have the 4 hymn sandwich, but they could all be Latin hymns, so that's okay. But so they're going to do that? Are they going to do that to give me an appreciation and people like me an appreciation of the Novus Ordo? Or are you talking about something else?
Oh, I don't know. You'd have to ask the bishop. But
Yes, right.
I have a clip from this article here. It says
Ah,
an idea began brewing. Let's see. OSV, our Sunday visitor. Is that the one that received Soros funding?
yes, that's
Okay.
them
All
and
right.
Hamatia. Yes.
An idea began brewing in Patrick Shemadiki's head as he listened to an interview with Xavier missionary sister Natalie Beckhart. You know, the nun. Like the Vatican nun.
Yeah, the one with the frizzy hair. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he listened to an interview with her on the Synod of Bishops in 2023 and the process leading up to it. The French nun said, "Synodality starts with coffee." Then this guy began to smell the coffee. The diocese had just compiled its 2021 diocesan mass attendance count, which totaled 19,399, about 60% on the pre-pandemic count. If each of those 19,000 mass goers had a conversation with 3 different people, that would total around 58,000 cups of coffee.
Great.
So that's what they call this initiative, 58,000 cups of coffee. So
Can we figure
every
out how many pots that is?
well, do you know how many wasted cups of coffee that would be?
About 57,000.
Are you going to have
Uh,
58,000 people show up? No, you're not even going to have 1,000 people show up. I'm sorry, Bishop.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, I think it highlights, Brett. It highlights that these guys are clueless.
bankrupt. Yes.
They think that people care.
People do care, but those people are, frankly, um, they are either current Latin Mass attendees or future Latin Mass attendees. Um, that's it. Everyone else is either headed for apostasy or the graveyard.
Well, they think people care about the synod on synodality. They think people care about their 50-page letters that they write. Like, no
Yes, they
one
do.
cares. These bishops, a lot of them are clueless.
They live in a bubble. They live in a bubble called the Chancery, and they're all, yes, Your Excellency. Yes, Your Excellency. Oh, yes, Your Excellency. Yes, Your Excellency. I tell you what, when you have a big personal salary, a staff that is religiously dedicated to you, and a budget, you no one can talk to you. No one's allowed to talk to you. You sit in an office and there's a gatekeeper in front of you. And and it's let us pray for our bishops. Let us pray for our bishops here in America. especially, and in Western Europe and in all rich countries, because they have this layer of fat around them, this layer of insulation. God can't get through. The people can't get through. Sense can't get through. They are insulated, and nothing can reach them. And that's a sad state of affairs. We suffer for it, but it is a sad state of affairs for them as well. And we should really pray for our bishops. My favorite bishop, and I've told this story before, is the fellow in Africa when they invited him to the conference, the peace conference in his war-torn country, and they said it's going to cost $1,200 to attend, and he's like, I don't have it. I don't have $1,200. I do not have $1,200 to spare. I don't have $1,200. Period. I mean, you've seen pictures of their seminaries. It's a mud hut. They have a mud hut, like, because with a chalkboard and some seats and some chairs and some paper. They and I'll tell you, I had a friend of mine who attended college in Guatemala, of all places, and he said books were really cheap because they would get one American textbook and they would Xerox it and give it to you. Total copyright blow. It's just this is it. There's the textbook. There you go. Well, I'm sure they do something similar in these poorer countries.
Maybe that's how we could get a cheap Latin Mass missal.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we need to get the. I don't know what we need. I mean, before the crackdown, things were swimming along just fine.
Oh yeah.
We caviled and complained and kvetched, but things were going along just fine, and things were going our way slowly and slowly. And I think I don't know anything, but my guess would be God is not pleased with that pace. He wants it happening now. He wants us on board now. So we'll see. We'll see how this all works out.
Here's a comment about the young people. The USCCB asked on Twitter before the Youth Synod a couple of years ago what young people would like to discuss. Thousands of comments poured in from young people all over the U.S. and beyond. TLM, yes.
Yes, and they were put in the round file. Absolutely, yes, absolutely
completely
true,
ignored.
Yes, you're totally correct. Good memory.
Yeah, so I think that if you know someone who's like a young person, have them show up and have them talk about, hey, none of my peers attend Mass because we think it's all goofy except for the Latin Mass. Like,
Exactly.
All right, here's a quick thought. Curious what you think FSSP Institute priests will do if there is a crackdown. It's looking like the Institute's going to stand up and resist. I don't know about the FSSP.
I do. They'll the way color revolutions work is you go after the head. This has been American policy for like 20 years now. You go after the head. The Vatican will do the same thing because, of course, they're in cahoots with people like the CIA, frankly, and they will go after the head. They will put pressure on the FSSP. They will bribe the FSSP because they're the biggest one, and they're the weakest one too, by the way. Misfortune to go to a Mass at a fraternity parish, which I've been to for many years, and I've always enjoyed the Masses there greatly and found inspiration from them. And I had a horrific experience with this guy was like an escapee from the Novus Ordo, I guess. I don't know, but it was terrible. And it's like, they really let this guy be a priest in this order, and that's how he carries on. I don't want to get any details, but suffice it to say, it grabbed my attention, and I was like, yeah. There was, and I live in Maryland, and they have a what is it? They have the church in Baltimore,
St. Alphonsus Liguori.
Yes,
yeah,
and that priest wasn't virusy enough, so they got rid of him. The bishop called the fraternity, and he was gone in a week. So that's the kind of people that run the fraternity. So the fraternity will fold. The Institute I mean, the early indications are that they're not going to fold. The fraternity, definitely. What's going to happen there is the leadership's going to go. About half the priest will go and do Novus Ordo, and the other half won't.
Yeah,
That's my prediction.
There's a good number of FSSP priests.
Half. I think half of them are going to. Yeah.
Here's an interesting point.
Yeah. Paper, law. It doesn't matter. We live in the lawless age of Pope Francis. We can do whatever we want, and he can do whatever. Well, he can do whatever he wants, and he will.
And their FSSP's bylaws also call for fidelity to Rome. So
yes, they do, don't they? And
one's going to give.
Let's see.
Here in a month, so we'll see.
Yeah. So 1988. They've been around since 1988, and the Institute of the Good Shepherd and many other orders, and all that time since 1988, how many bishops have come out from those orders, John?
Let me count.
Yeah.
That's hard. Brett, I didn't really pay much attention in school, so I'm not sure how to count.
You're looking for the easy answer. Zero. And they were promised, and the fraternity was specifically promised a bishop. So the Vatican lies again.
Yeah.
Just saying.
What do you think? He says, what do you think the priest that won't fold will do? Let's just say the SSPX is in a good spot. Right.
The society is in a good spot, and a lot of them will go independent. They'll be like, "Hi, I'm here to do the mass." You'll invite them into your homes. You'll go to the Our Lady of Ramada, and they will be priests. They will have more time, as Father Jackson observed a while back. They will go around. They will take care of the faithful. They will have masses. They will deliver the sacraments. It'll be a good thing.
There's someone who disagrees. Well, we'll see.
You know what? We'll say that. I say this. It's not up to us, but we'll see what happens. But the color revolution is a pretty strong thing. And judging from the Vatican, the Catholic Church versus the world scoreboard since 1968, it doesn't look so good for the home team. The world's been on a tear.
So, Kansas City Royals fan, I just encourage you, if you go to the FSSP, ask your priest what he will do when Rome levels these sanctions against the FSSP. It's not if, it's when.
Yeah, and don't let him slide. Don't let him give you a joke answer.
You have to get your game plan.
We'll get to that when we get to that. No, say, well, it's coming. You need to have an answer. And
it's coming in less than a month.
And if if it's going to be, I'm going to go do the Novus Ordo, then that's the answer. That's okay. I mean, it's not okay, but if that's his answer, well, then that's his answer. You just need to know. Yeah. Just like those poor people at St. John Cantius. They know now that if they want to go to a Latin Mass on the first Sunday of every month, they can't go to Cantius. They can't. I mean, not that they'll get and without ad orientem, but that's what they'll get. But they won't get the Mass of the Ages. They won't get the Mass of the saints. No, they just won't. So, they have to make that decision. Well, do they want to pretend? Because I tell you what, I mean, well, anyway, we're getting close. We got to wrap this up. We got to wrap this up.
That's true. This is a good point. Okay, well, you're probably not going to have to worry about that then.
Well, good for you, and God bless. Hope it works out for you.
Yeah, the rest of us, though, we got to get our game plans.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, this has been a great video. Thank you, everyone, for the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Get your game plan ready. See what this something's gonna happen in a month, and it's not gonna be pretty. And get your private chapels ready. whatever you need to do. Go to your I say go to your synod. Think about it.
He
Consider
says
what we
go.
said. Consider what we said here. Get your Bible out. Take it with you. Think about it. And ask the Holy Ghost for inspiration. There you go.
Amen. Amen.
All right. Thank you so much, Brett. Thank you, everyone, for watching. This has been the Thunder and Lightning Show. We are the laity.
And we will not be silent.